Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Norristown Eagle football. I'm Jeff Brandon along with Walt Fry. Folks, a little twist tonight. It's playoff football. For the first time in their history, the Norristown Eagles in the postseason, facing the Rams of Penn Ridge in a District 1 playoff tilt. Walt, there is some energy in the air.
There certainly is, Jeff. You want to talk about a twist? We had to twist just to get into this press box. It is jammed up here tonight for this Norristown Pennridge playoff football game. I'll tell you what, the stands are pretty full. There is some excitement. These two teams really excited to be in the postseason.
Walt, of course, Norristown, a 9-1 record this season, finishing with a dramatic win over North Penn. Really, not so dramatic, as impressive. Just took it to the Knights, a highly ranked football squad.
Yeah, probably the most surprising thing about this whole season to this point is that North Penn win was almost anticlimactic after the great 13-12 win over Truman 2 weeks ago. Really a game that went away that I don't think anyone expected, that Norristown-North Penn game, where Norristown just blew them out, and by all accounts, it was not even that close, the 18-point differential.
And in one of the oddities of the PIAA tiebreak system, although Norristown and Penn Ridge enter this game with identical records at 9-1, the Rams earning the home field berth based on a very, very fine statistical differential having to do with the record of common opponents.
Right.
Record of all opponents, not common opponents.
That's right, record of all opponents. What happened was Pennridge's opponents played 2 fewer games. So they had 1 fewer win and 1 fewer loss, and what that wound up, it went out to 4 decimal places, and when they figured out the winning percentages of opponents, Pennridge came out on top. So by the slimmest of margins, Norristown is up at Pennridge instead of the other way around.
And I'll tell you, folks, it is a beautiful fall evening for football. Temperature-wise, we're probably hovering about 50 degrees. Clear skies, no rain to speak of. The field looks to be in excellent condition. Should not be a factor at all in tonight's outcome. Just 2 football squads going together. We'll pause for a moment for the national anthem. There you have it, the national anthem. This game is imminent, ladies and gentlemen. And Walt, let's talk a little bit about strategy tonight. From what we know of Penn Ridge, it seems to be that their whole game is ball control.
Absolutely. They're not a team that's going to want to throw the ball a lot. And ball control in that they like to run it, and ball control in that they like to spread it out. So they try to control the ball and not wear anybody out, whereas Norristown is thought of as having workhorse running backs. Pennridge has a bunch of guys they just like to spread it around to, and they have the offensive formation to do it.
They certainly do. It's a wing T offense that they run with a 2 tight end set. We're not going to see a lot of passing tonight from the Rams. We expect them to keep it on the ground as their captains march onto the field, co-captains for the toss of the coin along with Norristown's captains. Out there for the Eagles, Troy Ellis and Chris Blake. Walt, on the Norristown side of the ball, we have seen a tremendously explosive offense this year.
Yeah, Norristown has a quarterback this year in Chris Blake who threw for over 1,000 yards in the 11 games that they've played, or 10 games even. A very, very big change from previous Norristown offenses, and the reason being they have a quarterback now who can do it, and they also have the receivers who can do it. The line has been just fabulous in giving Chris Blake pass protection. They've been using a variety of drops. They've been using 3-step drops and quick passes. Norristown has also used a lot of deep drops, 5- and 7-step drops, and Chris Blake has had all the time he's needed to pick out his receivers.
Expect to see Norristown mix it up tonight to try and keep the Rams on their toes. Expect on the defensive side of the ball for Penn Ridge a lot of stunting to try and keep the Eagles honest. Norristown's big challenge will be to pick up the vagaries of the wing T offense, something that they really haven't seen this year, Walt. Nobody in the National Conference really runs that offense.
No, the good teams in the Suburban 1 National Conference run power offenses. Now, Norristown this year, where they usually run the power offense, they're going in the air a lot more, but they can still pound it out when they want to. Of course, the good teams, North Penn, Council Rock, Central Bucks West, and Norristown, if they had their druthers, they want to run the ball. Some of the lower teams like to add a little bit of excitement and throw the ball around, but everybody plays a pretty basic offense. Nobody really plays a different formation like the Penn Ridge Rams do.
The head coaches tonight for Norristown, longtime head coach Roger Grove in his first postseason appearance. On the opposite side of the ball will be Jeff Hollenbach, the head coach of the Rams. Walt, the winner of this game, will of course play the winner of the CB West North Penn game. Even though North Penn lost last week to Norristown, giving them 2 defeats on the season through a variety of tiebreakers, they were able to make the postseason. They've got a tough chore up at War Memorial in Doylestown tonight.
Yeah, that's a place nobody wants to go, because Central Bucks West not only top in Suburban 1 National and the District 1, but Central Bucks West tops in the state again this year, the defending state champions. So they certainly will not go down easy, and North Penn has a tough task, as do the two teams here tonight.
Back deep for the Eagles to receive, the 2 standout backs. Troy Swittenberg, the junior, Audley Stewart, the senior. Kicking for the Pennridge Rams is number 81, Ty Brady. The crowd on their feet here at Poppy Yoder Field in Sellersville as we're about to begin this District 1 PIAA playoff clash. The kick is deep to the sideline. Audley Stewart takes it at the 6-yard line. Stewart up to the 20. He's got a hole. Good coverage that time by the Rams. 3 men in on the tackle. The Eagles start 1st and 10 from their own 27-yard line. Let's set the offense for you.
Well, leading them out, of course, senior quarterback number 13, Chris Blake. His running backs, number 1, Troy Swittenberg. Number 3, the blocking back, Darrell Johnson. Across the front, that great line for the Eagles. 51, Troy Ellis. 78, Doug White. 71, Mike Ginyard. 66, Yaboa Cabold. And 56, Chris Brown. His big receivers for Chris Blake, number 2, Damian Solomon. Number 17, James Edmonds. And the blocking tight end, number 82, Josh Kinlock.
Blake with the snap. The quick drop goes to the sideline. Overthrown. That time, Chris Blake just a little charged up there on that first down play, looking for the quick hit to the outside. The intended receiver, Damian Solomon, number 2, falls incomplete. Let's set that defensive front for you for the Pennridge Rams. They play a 4-3, Walt.
Yeah, pretty basic. Chris Crespin, Curtis Wargo, Tom Blackledge, and Jerry Rogers across the front. Their linebackers in the middle, it's Mitch Keating. Outsides are Jim Harris and Brian Benfield. The corners, tough task tonight, Todd Tobin and Jason Rhodes. And the safeties, Aaron Roberts and Josh Derry.
Edmonds and Solomon are split. The back's in the eye. The quick handoff to Swittenberg. Swittenberg is dropped by linebacker Jim Harris after a short gain. It's going to bring up 3rd and long for the Eagles.
And playing that 4-3, those linebackers are going to have to be very active for the Pennridge Rams. That Norristown 5-man line and tight end Josh Kinlock really hold their blocks for a good long time, so it's going to be up to those linebackers to fill the holes to block.
3rd and 8 on this play. Walt, you and I can't see the clock, can't even see the about a third of the field, but we'll do our best, folks. Whatever we can't see, we'll make up. Blake takes his time. The backs are split. The quick drop looks to the outside, a timing pass, and Edmonds incomplete. That time into double coverage. Ball was close to the sideline. I don't know that Edmonds would have been in bounds anyway, but the Rams do the job defensively, and this is certainly a big key for them, is to get control of the ball early on. The Eagles will be forced to punt.
Sorry, Jeff. Absolutely that the Rams do want to control the ball. They do not want Norristown to jump out to an early lead where Pennridge has to put the ball in the air or get quick scores at the end of the game. That is not their style.
Single man back for the Rams is number 40, Jason Rhodes. Eagles ready to punt. That's number 8, Brian Gordon. Oh, there's a rush. He just gets it off. End over end, hits it about the 42, takes a Norristown bounce. It's fielded by Rhodes, goes to the outside, and he's covered by the Eagles. No gain on the return. Boy, I'll tell you, good job by Trey Hadrick on the downfield coverage. We have a penalty on the play. It looks like roughing the kicker, perhaps. Boy, that's a big play, folks. We're going to bring it back. We have a roughing the kicker play, and the Eagle offense gets renewed life. not what the Rams wanted to do there. They did the job defensively, and the Eagles get a big break. That's going to be a 15-yard personal foul and a first down.
Yeah, the Rams were real charged up. They were coming after that punt. Rhodes let it hit because they were not setting up for a return. They were coming for the block on Trey Hadrick, and he got roughed up a little bit late. So Norristown's going to put the ball back in play way upfield.
Well, the real danger of that setup, Walt, is that if you don't get the ball, you're in tough shape if you get a part of the kicker, and that's exactly what happened. So rather than first down Penn Ridge at their own 40, it's first down Norristown at the 43-yard line. A big break for the Eagles. They'll start 1st and 10 once again. Blake, the handoff to Wittenberg. Finds a hole off the right side. Wittenberg tries to do a little left to right. Might have cost him a yard. He picks up about 3 on the play.
Good hard tackling by the Pennridge Rams, and we'll have to watch Troy Wittenberg tonight. He came into this game with a tender hamstring. It was questionable for a while this week whether he was going to be able to go tonight, but certainly he's going to come out, play with everything he's got tonight. There is no tomorrow, all those cliches, and Troy Wittenberg so far tonight looks pretty good.
We'll call it 2nd and 7 for the Eagles from their own 47-yard line. Blake now over center. This time the delay goes to Wittenberg, finds the hole, brought down by the linebackers, close to a first down across midfield. The tackler that time, middle linebacker Mitch Keating. Wittenberg with a nice gain. Little delay that time worked to the Eagles' advantage, Walt.
That's right. That little bit of threat of the Norristown passing game was enough to hold those linebackers back into position, and that let Troy Wittenberg get through that open hole in the line. Wittenberg knew where that first down marker is. He's real close right now, and he was dragging Keating for a little bit to try and get there.
3rd and 1 from the Pennridge 47-yard line. Backs in the eye. Blake, Wittenberg. Nice cut by Troy Wittenberg. Knew exactly how far he had to go. Needed a yard, he picked up 2. And I'll tell you, there was a guy in the backfield that time, Walton. Wittenberg eluded him.
Yeah, that time they let that man come. It was Troy Wittenberg's job to get around. And then Mike Ginyard just leveled his man, cut him out low, so that Troy Wittenberg could get across that line without any high penetration by the Rams.
So the Eagles generate a first down here. It's 1st and 10 from the Pennridge 45-yard line. Again, Edmonds and Solomon are split. The backs are split. Blake, the quick drop. He's got Edmonds across the middle. Oh, bad pass. Intercepted right into the hands of the cornerback. Linebacker Brian Benfield, number 20. And that time Chris Blake just made a bad throw, Walt. Bad read. He had the time.
And, Jeff, most of the teams Norristown has played this year have committed most of their linebackers to Norristown's running game, and that's why Norristown's been able to throw. Norristown's had their wide receivers singled up one-on-one on the outside. They've been very successful using that, but that time the Pennridge linebackers were all dropped back into coverage, and Benfield just cut inside James Edmonds. Chris Blake looked like he never saw him.
And I'll tell you, too, Walt, I knew as soon as he stepped back who he was throwing it to, and my guess is so did Benfield. That time the play was telegraphed a bit. Hurts Norristown. There's a face mask play on the Rams after the catch. So it'll be their ball, but they're penalized 15 yards. So they're now down at their own 21-yard line, 1st and 10. So the Rams hurting themselves with 2 early personal fouls, but they do have the ball, 1st and 10, and we'll set their offense for you in just a moment. This time the quick hit off the left side. He eludes a tackler into the secondary. That's a first down for the Rams. In their backfield, we've got number 32, Tyler Weidman, number 45, Aaron Roberts, number 40, Jason Rhodes, led by quarterback number 13, Chad Struthers. Across the line, that double tight end set on the ends, number 20, Brian Benfield, number 81, Ty Brady. The linemen, Curtis Wargo, Tom Blackledge, Mitch Keating, Jerry Rogers, and Jeff McIntyre. 1st and 10 Rams from their own 34-yard line. Rhodes in motion. The handoff comes to the near side. There's a nice stick. That time, Troy Ellis comes up from his linebacker spot and puts that one away. The runner that time, John Koshin. Let's give you the Eagle defenders across the front. They generally play a 5-linebacker set. A 5-line set. James Davis, Yaboa Cabold, Mike Ginyard, Doug White, and Mike Wilson. with the linebackers Butler, Johnson, and Ellis. 2nd and 8 for the Rams. Koshin goes in motion. Bounces off one tackler. He's brought down by Darrell Johnson, but a nice gain on the play. In the secondary for Norristown, we have safety Trey Hadrick along with corners Donald Vaughn Jr. and Audley Stewart. That's a first down for the Rams. I'll tell you what, Walt, they're moving it nicely on the ground here early on.
Yeah, so far they've eaten up that penalty yardage plus some. And Jeff, Norristown will drop Mike Wilson off that defensive line a little bit. He'll rove around. They'll try and position him where he's best to defend the play that Norristown thinks the Rams have called. Right now, he's lined up as a linebacker.
This time Rhodes comes to the near side. Struthers with the look to the sideline. He's got Rhodes. Makes the catch, eludes a tackler, eludes another tackler. He's finally put away near midfield. But I tell you what, the Eagles have got to do a better job of ramping up their tackles. It's going to be a long night.
Absolutely. Every play the Rams have run so far, the Eagles have missed at least the first tackle and sometimes the second and third as well.
Fans here at Penn Ridge don't like the spot. Called about a 4-yard gain, 2nd and 6 from just on the Rams side of midfield. Eagle defenders taking a look here. Struthers, the quick handoff up the middle. He's got a hole. Eagle defenders stand up, though. It's number 32, Tyler Weidman. Play's done. That was Audley Stewart and Darrell Johnson coming up on the play, along with Troy Ellis. And I'll tell you what, it looks like, what it looks like that line for the Rams is opening up some holes.
Yeah, there are some holes, and the other thing that opens up some holes for the Ram running backs is that motion that they use. That time, only Weidman in the backfield, but you had another man coming off the H-back position through the backfield, always a threat to toss him the ball. So Norristown has to be conscious, and they're missing those tackles.
3rd and 3 now from the Eagle 48. There's the handoff. No, what a stick! Look at that play by number 78, Doug White. There's a young man who can play some football, and he's going to force the Rams into a punting situation.
And that time, same play as you just saw the play before, except from the other side. Weidman, of course, coming straight up the middle, but the motion was coming from the left side that time instead of the right. Doug White read it perfectly, saw that it was the exact same play, and when Doug White can shed his block and line up the man, 305 pounds, you are not going to run through him. Doug White has been a very sound tackler this year. He just needs to shed that block, and that time, that's certainly what he did.
The Rams call timeout. They've got 4th at about 2 from the Eagle 47-yard line. Coach Jeff Hollenbach wants to think about this for a minute or two.
And the way they've been moving the ball, except for that last play, you can't blame him for thinking about it. Even their quick pass play that they used got them a couple yards. So at this point, across midfield, you wonder how much they get from actually punting the ball.
I'll tell you, Doug White has received a lot of attention from some Division I schools. As a senior this year, he's looking to further his football career at the collegiate level, and he certainly has the physical tools.
And Jeff, he was obviously very attractive when he was a sophomore. You thought, here's a guy who's going to be a big part of the Norristown line, but he really wasn't much more than a big guy who they wanted on the line. As a junior, he got a little more playing time, suffered through a couple of injuries, but got a little better. This year, he has really matured into a very, very good two-way lineman. I think his potential may be more on that defensive side, although he's over 300 pounds already. So you may think he wants to look at offensive line, but certainly he's really matured and is a big part of both sides of the Norristown line.
Back deep, 2 men for Norristown, Stewart and Edmonds. Looks like we're going to punt anyway. It's a good snap. They punt to the sideline, trying to keep it away from Edmonds. He lets it hit, and then he picks it up. That's a dangerous play. James Edmonds dropped at his own 13-yard line. In that case, Edmonds has to step up and catch that ball and not let it hit.
He certainly had plenty of time. He was watching it come down the whole way. I think he may have seen a Pennridge man who had beaten the Norristown outside man down the field. And if Edmonds had stepped up, he was under threat of really being stuck right there, but he does have to come up, take the medicine.
Edmonds does hold on to the ball, though. Could have been disastrous had he not quite been able to handle that, but the Eagles will take over 1st and 10 from their own 13-yard line as we progress through this first quarter. 5:51 to play in the first. Chris Blake takes the snap. The pitch goes to Wittenberg. Johnson out front for the block. Wittenberg picks up a few on the play. It'll be 2nd down for Norristown. And that time, the Ram defender, Walt, did a good job of shedding Johnson's block, and he was there to make the tackle.
And that's what Troy Wittenberg does so well. So if Pennridge can take that away from him, they may have some success against the Eagles tonight. Wittenberg really good at trotting to the outside, allowing his blocks to set up. And then what he likes to do is cut inside Darrell Johnson or one of his tackles out there on the outside. That time the Pennridge man slipped inside the Norristown block and hit Wittenberg.
5 yards on the carry, brings up 2nd and 5. This time the quick handoff to Johnson. He's dropped immediately. Picked up about a yard, maybe 2 on the play.
And with the play before that, Wittenberg trying to draw the play out and then cut up the field. Norristown thought they may have had something there with a quick hitter and some quick action right off the line of scrimmage, but Pennridge was ready for that as well.
We'll give Darrell 2 yards on that play, bringing up 3rd down once again for Norristown. 3rd and 3. Ball spotted at their own 21-yard line.
And this is a spot where Norristown likes to just take one step back from Chris Blake and throw it out to one of those wide receivers. Solomon tightly covered, Edmonds a little less so.
The handoff to Wittenberg, up the middle, he's got room, he's in the secondary, cuts back, eludes a tackler, 1st down and more, out to the Norristown 43-yard line. And I'll tell you, they went with that draw again, Walt, and it worked to perfection.
And Troy Wittenberg had that 1st down just off the draw play, just off the brilliant play call from Norristown that time and the great blocking. But Troy Wittenberg got about 5-6 more yards by making number 84, Josh Derry, completely miss. Derry went low as if he was taking on a 250-pound running back, and Troy Wittenberg just danced around him. You go for Troy Wittenberg's feet, you're grabbing at air.
Big carry that time for Wittenberg, takes it out to the Eagle 43, 1st down Norristown. The pitch to the near side, Johnson out front, Wittenberg cuts it up inside, he gets hit a couple times, only about 3 yards on the play, and Wittenberg was holding back there a little bit, Walt, looking for that hole, and the blocking got out in front of him a little bit.
He had a good first block from Troy Ellis, who really turned his man outside well, but Wittenberg was looking for that 2nd and 3rd block down the field, and so far tonight, that's what the Rams have been taking away from Norristown, is the secondary space that Norristown is so accustomed to. It's really going to be up to Troy Wittenberg to make people miss, because the Rams are going to give him those couple yards, but they're not going to let him get the big secondary yardage.
2nd and 7 for Norristown from their own 46-yard line. Blake, the quick drop, looks to the outside. He's got Solomon open. Look at the hands on that receiver. 1st down Eagles into Ram territory. It'll be 1st and 10 Norristown from inside the Pennridge 45-yard line. Walt, that was a hard-thrown ball. That young man reached over his shoulder and grabbed it with authority.
Jeff, these are 2 pro-style receivers. James Edmonds is a great physical receiver. He really likes to make adjustments on the ball. They like to underthrow to him and let him go up and get it. A lot of what you're seeing in the NFL ranks these days. And Damian Solomon is your slasher, a little bit smaller, but also very big, very strong, and he's very tall. And as you saw right there, hands like glue, and likes to run that slant. 2 real pro-style receivers for Norristown.
Audley Stewart in for Wittenberg. Stewart with a nice hole up the middle. Good job by the offensive line for the Eagles. Picks up 5 solid yards, maybe a bit more.
And if Norristown can do that, pick up some pretty big yardage on 1st down, keep 2nd in mid-range and 3rd and short situations if they get the 3rd down, that's when their offense really opens up, because on a 2nd and 5, they will not hesitate to throw the ball. Obviously, 1st downs are important. They do want to control the clock and get the first points on the board, but throwing is part of their game. It is not something they only do when they have to. It is completely part of their offense, and they like to do it in this kind of situation.
2nd and 5 from the Pennridge 40-yard line. They fake, go to the air, man deep, Edmonds down there one-on-one. Oh, incomplete, and that time Edmonds stopped running on the ball. If he kept going, he had that ball caught.
Yeah, that time he was a victim of his own talents. James Edmonds tried to stop and hold off his defender, legally of course, but tried to impede him a little bit and then make the adjustment to the ball. And what Chris Blake did was just throw it to the sidelines and say, hey, big guy, go get it. Chris Blake has really become very good at that, at putting a ball out there where only his receiver can catch it. We saw tonight, still needs a little more experience throwing into the middle of the field, but throws that sideline ball very well and has the receivers to catch it.
The play was there that time, but it brings up 3rd down and 5 for Norristown. They go to the air on the play action, over the middle, Solomon wide open, cuts it back across, he's going to run to the corner. He's got 2 men to beat, he's down at the 10-yard line. Big play for Damian Solomon, and I tell you what, Chris Blake doing a fine job. Lots of time, and he delivered right on the money.
He throws a great ball, especially when the man is open. I mean, he can really deliver a good ball. the reason Damian Solomon's so wide open, he runs a tremendous route. Damian Solomon, again, one of his pro-style qualities is that he is a tremendous route runner, and that time got way past the first down marker, also something that the Norristown receivers do very well, and just ran a little cut in. Great throw by Chris Blake.
30 yards on that play brings up first and 10 from the 11-yard line. Blake goes to Audley Stewart. Stewart steps over one man inside the 10-yard line. He's wrapped up there. That time, again, the linebacker's in on the play. Jim Harris, the primary tackler. It's going to bring up second down for Norristown. Let's give Stewart 3 yards on that carry.
And Norristown now has brought Trey Hadrick into the game, number 9. Hadrick, another big receiver. He's their third receiver, and also very, very good hands. They like to throw to him down in this situation, or at least use him as a decoy.
And there you see it. The Eagles go with the 3 wide receiver set. They've got Johnson and Stewart in the backfield. They go to the air. They look to this side. Touchdown! James Edmonds from Chris Blake. The Eagles are on the board. 6-0 Norristown, and boy, I'll tell you, that is running the slant to perfection. Good job by Blake and Edmonds.
And what Norristown just did was bait Pennridge. They've baited them all season. Pennridge, they could tell, has scouted them well. They've prepared very well. And what Norristown does down in that goal line situation is throw the fade to big James Edmonds. That time, Edmonds faked like he was going to the fade. Boom, quick cut in, and it was wide open for Chris Blake.
In for the extra point attempt, number 90, Matt Spitko. Eagles on the board first here. Snap is good, the hold is down, the kick is up. No good. Spitko misses the extra point, and I'll tell you, that's not what you want to do, but the Eagles have to come away with this with a good feeling about the way they move that ball downfield. This drive started, Walt, on their own 13-yard line. They marched the ball upfield impressively.
They moved it fairly quickly, picked up big chunks of yardage at a time. And again, Jeff, back to that preparation of Pennridge. Norristown beat Truman 2 weeks ago by throwing that fade to James Edmonds in the last 2 minutes of the game. And Edmonds, some say he pushed off, but he just played a good physical ball, went up, just outjumped his man, outworked his man for the ball in the corner of the end zone. It was in that exact situation right there. And that time, Edmonds looked like he was going to go to the corner, and Chris Blake looked like he wanted to throw up to him. But James Edmonds, just a little shoulder shake, you could see how wide open he was, left his cornerback backpedaling into the corner of the end zone, and left the safety too high to cover James Edmonds as he cut across the goal line. Chris Blake was looking at it the whole time, delivered a great ball.
I'll tell you, Walt, this is the first game that I've done with you this year. Greg Fry, your normal partner, is unable to be with us tonight. It's been my pleasure to come out of retirement here to do this playoff game, but I certainly saw many of these guys play last year, and I am incredibly impressed with the progress that Chris Blake has made. He just is throwing a great ball tonight. Kevin Qualia on to kick for Norristown. It's a short kick. It's going to fall at about the 20-yard line, taken by one of the deep men, and Norristown sticks that right away. The ball carrier that time for Pennridge was number 84, Josh Derry. Qualia's kick short, but the Eagles down well on coverage. While we have just a second as we're winding down in the first quarter here, under a minute to play as the Eagles on top 6-0. We want to thank the Norristown Area School District for bringing you this ball game. Of course, Mr. Tony Coya, the Director of Communications. We want to thank Cheryl Emerson, our Director tonight, along with Carl Baker, our cameraman. I'm Jeff Brandon, along with Walt Fry, and this is playoff action here. The handoff along the outside towards the first down marker. Nice carry that time by John Koshin. He just kept bouncing outside, Walt, and picked up a first down.
And Norristown just didn't get off their blocks that time. Koshin kept bouncing outside because he kept having blocks in front of him to bounce behind. And that time it was Troy Ellis and Audley Stewart, almost taken up by the same Pennridge blocker over there. Norristown's going to have to fill some more gaps and try and shake those blocks a little bit better because Pennridge is just pushing them up the field.
So very quickly, Pennridge out to their own 36-yard line. 1st and 10 with 38 seconds to play here in the first period. This time, little flea flicker. They go deep off the play. Man's open. Oh, baby. Back on the defensive coverage is number 22, Donald Vaughn, but what a great play. Number 40, Jason Rhodes, takes the old halfback option and throws it to perfection downfield to Derry, number 84. Man, I'll tell you, he was wide open.
Hollenbach wasted no time pulling that out here at the end of the first quarter to try and get those points back quickly. And he was wide open, running that seam right down the middle of the field. A great throw.
40-yard gain that time for the Rams, gives them 1st and 10 deep in Eagle territory from the Norristown 24-yard line. This time, another play action. Zoshan, pardon me, not play action, the handoff coming from the near side. John Koshin, the ball carrier.
Jeff, back to that last play, it's all that motion that Pennridge runs that allows them to run a play like that. Gee, you think that's the end of the first quarter?
My guess is the first period's done.
Either that or my laundry is finished.
The fans here at Penn Ridge cheering their team on here on the near side.
I'll rejoin you as soon as my heart starts again.
Well, I'll tell you, that's nice and loud when you're standing right beneath the buzzer. Wow.
But it's a fitting ending to a really good first quarter.
Excellent period of high school football. My goodness.
And Pennridge certainly ended it in style with that pass. What I was saying was that all that motion that they run allows them to run a play like that. Well, as soon as a Pennridge player gets the ball, Norristown is trying to swarm all over him because it takes a while for them to even figure out who's going to get it. Once they swarm, it allows them to throw the ball down the field because the Norristown linebackers have now come up tight. And what you have is pretty much one-on-one coverage. And that time, Trey Hadrick allowed the man just to slip behind him a little bit. A cardinal sin when you're the only guy back there and there's only one receiver running down the field. And a great ball was delivered right down the seam.
That time the Eagle defense did a good job of sticking the run. About 1.5 yards on that carry brings up 2nd down for the Rams. Chad Struthers, the quarterback for Penn Ridge, doing a good job tonight leading his offense. This time Rhodes in motion, the handoff off the right side. 1st down, close to the 10-yard line.
And on the right side of the Norristown defense that time, they pulled Darrell Johnson up to the line of scrimmage, but way outside to keep the containment. And Pennridge went the other way. And that was the short side of the field, but it was their strong side, and they were able to just pick a hole. And because Darrell Johnson was up on the line, there was no containment on the other side.
Just outside the 10-yard line, brings up 1st and 10, let's call it the 11 of Penn Ridge. Man in motion, there's the handoff up the middle. They hit the hole. Norristown defense does a good job that time, dropping number 35, John Koshin. Darrell Johnson in on the tackle along with number 51, Troy Ellis. And down on the bottom of that pile, probably the guy that really keyed off on that, was number 30, Jameel Butler.
And Jeff, Pennridge's top runner is Jason Rhodes for the season. Only has 705 yards. In the 9 games that they've played, but that's only on 69 carries. He's averaging over 10 yards a carry. So not huge numbers, but that's because they spread the carries out. You can see when they run the ball, they're very successful.
2nd down from just inside the Norristown 10. Man in motion to the near side. The pitch comes to the near side. Penetration, but he beats it. Norristown defense still there. That time the tackle made by number 33 for the Eagles. Call that Warren Burke. That time, I'll tell you, Darrell Johnson was in the backfield. The carrier eluded him. It was still no gain on the play, but it could have very well been a 2 or 3 yard loss.
Yeah, and so far, Pennridge has the upper hand in the play calling. Pennridge offense versus Norristown defense. Darrell Johnson, he is the penetrating linebacker. He's the guy they like to move around and make some plays. Gets a lot of backfield penetration. That time, the Rams just let him come, and they kept the man in tight just to make sure that Darrell Johnson didn't get his hands on the ball carrier, but that blocker wasn't really even needed. The ball carrier just cut right inside of Darrell Johnson as he took a wide angle to the ball. So sometimes Pennridge will run it outside around the defense. Lately they've been trying to cut inside it, and it's been working for them.
And I think Roger Grove takes a very good time out here, Walt. It's 3rd and long, potentially a 1st down inside the 1 yard line, but essentially 3rd and goal from just inside the 10. This is a team that doesn't get a lot of 10-yard plays necessarily. They're a good 4, 5, 6-yard team. Be interesting to see the play selection here on 3rd down, whether Jeff Hollenbach's looking at 2 plays to get to the end zone or if he's going to give it a shot here and then kick the field goal. But I think Coach Grove wanted to give his defensive unit a blow here and time to think about what the play selection might be.
I think right here you have to make them beat you through the air. You have to bring everybody up tight and not let them run the ball for significant yardage.
Man in motion. The play action across the middle. Nobody open. Overthrown. Incomplete. That time not a chance for a reception. The intended receiver, tight end Ty Brady. Struthers simply overthrew the field. It'll bring on 4th down, and Hollenbach will bring on his place-kicking unit to attempt a field goal.
And that's why you make them beat you through the air. They couldn't get anybody open that time. Good coverage by the Norristown defenders. And I think what Struthers did, to his credit, he just threw that away. You could see him just flick his wrist and fire it into the open field, almost through the end zone, as he had a man cutting across, but really no potential for the touchdown.
The place kicker on is Brett Hetherington, number 80. He'll attempt a 27-yard field goal. Good snap. The Eagles are coming. It's up. It's good. So the Rams cut the deficit in half. It's now 6-3 Norristown. Quick march that time by Penn Ridge, but certainly keyed by the flea flicker, a 40-yard gain on the halfback option pass.
Yeah, but Jeff, you don't like to pull that play out and get only 3 yards, that's for sure. I'm sure they pulled that play out thinking we're going to cross midfield in a big way here. We're going to get this touchdown, kick that extra point, and go up 7-6. And now we really have Norristown on their heels. Instead, the smart decision, they kick the field goal. Definitely after that drive, you need points. And I think by throwing it on 3rd down, they indicated that they certainly were going to kick that field goal on 4th down.
Let's give some credit to that Norristown defense, Walt, which is, I think, where you were going with this. That good stand there at the goal line really gave the Rams nothing when they got down to the 10-yard line, forcing that 3-point attempt rather than the 6 that Coach Jeff Hollenbach was looking for.
After the smart timeout, they did settle down. They played very, very tight coverage, and they forced Pennridge into something that they did not want to do.
That's interesting. Wittenberg is back deep again with Stewart. At the end of Norristown's last offensive set, we did see Audley Stewart on several consecutive plays. I guess with that tender hamstring, maybe Wittenberg getting a little bit of rest. Although we've seen Stewart throughout the year.
And Audley Stewart is a tremendous open field runner, so you certainly like to have him returning a kickoff.
Ty Brady on to kick off for the Rams. If you just joined us, it's 6-3 Norristown. We're into the second quarter of this District 1 playoff match. Deep kick. Down to the 2-yard line, taken by Audley Stewart. Here he comes, up the middle. Good coverage that time by the Rams. Nice run back by Stewart, who brings it back 20-plus yards to the Eagle 26-yard line. Nothing fancy there, Walt, just bring it up the hole.
And there was a slight gap there for a little while, and then one of the Pennridge players was able to bounce off his block and fill that gap. It was really only filled by one man until the rest of his teammates could come help him.
So the Eagles take over once again on offense after a solid drive by Penn Ridge. 10:23 to play here in the first half. Solomon and Edmonds go wide. Blake sets the play. The handoff to Wittenberg. Nothing there. Good coverage that time. In on the tackle, number 31, Jim Harris.
And Harris turned that play to the inside. He really collapsed any room that Troy Wittenberg had to run. There wasn't much push from the Norristown offensive line, and as Harris got a little bit of penetration, Wittenberg just had to put his head down and dive for what he could get.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head earlier when you said that the first down play and their success for Norristown is really a key to this game. There you have no gain bringing up 2nd and 10. The Eagles would much rather be in that 2nd and 5 and have all their options open. This time they go Wittenberg the other way, and he's pushed outside, fights off 2 tackles, but he's dropped for a loss. Good pursuit that time by the Rams. Nothing doing on the sweep that time, Walt.
No, the Rams pursue very well, but they also have a defensive system that spreads it out to start. So when Norristown tries to go outside, the linebackers very easily just flow down that line, and they really square up well and deliver their blows. They're not necessarily making the first tackle all by themselves, but they're certainly not letting the man spin off and get extra yardage.
3rd and long for Norristown, the ball at their own 26-yard line. About 3rd and 10, little bit outside of that. Norristown with the handoff, the reverse. Audley Stewart has room, cuts it up inside, short of the first down. Nice play selection, but not good enough for 10 yards. Picks up 8 on the play. It'll bring up 4th down for the Eagles, and I'm sure we'll see a punt. It's a flag on the play, it looks like. Now, officials just waiting there a moment, so it is 4th down, 4th and 2, and Norristown will punt the ball away. Back deep, Jason Rhodes, number 40. Once again, the Rams set up 10 men on the line. Number 9, Trey Hadrick, into punt. Good snap. Hadrick has plenty of time. End-over-end kick. Taken on the run at the 38-yard line. He's got some open field. Turns the corner inside the Eagle 40-yard line. Finally knocked out of bounds. I'll tell you, there's a heck of a play by number 40, Jason Rhodes, who caught that ball on the fly and hit that hole quick.
And by catching it on the fly, he completely eliminated the 2 Norristown outside men. They took very, very wide angles as if they were expecting a little more hang time from Trey Hadrick. And that end-over-end ball just tumbled down to Jason Rhodes. By the time he caught it, he was already past the 2 Norristown wide men, who were 10 yards away from him anyway. Left him plenty of yards to run.
And the Rams have the ball basically where the Eagle line of scrimmage was. Not a big gain on that play for Norristown. This time, Koshin runs to the outside. He gets wrapped up that time by Vaughn and Ellis. And I'll tell you what, hopefully the Eagles learned a lesson there, and that's to kick away from this young man. You don't want him running the ball back at all. Hadrick's punt was just fine, but was quick, and there was no time for coverage to get down there, and Rhodes really took great advantage of it.
And especially on a punt like that, an aggressive punt return is really going to get you a lot of yards, and I think Norristown was a little bit surprised by how aggressive Rhodes was on the catch.
2nd and 7 from the Eagle 35-yard line. This time the reverse again. They've got that one stuck. Wow. Jason Rhodes, meet number 15, Mike Wilson. Eagles had that one defensed nicely. There's a big loss on that play, loss of 6 yards. Let's call it 3rd and 12 now from the Eagle 40-yard line.
And that was a unique way to run the reverse. Usually you see the man hand it off outside and let the man who's taking the ball run around almost on a sweep. That time they took it on the inside route, and Mike Wilson was just waiting for him there.
Rhodes in motion again. Goes into the pattern. Almost a sack. Pass complete. Oh, I think he stopped short, though, on a nice stick by Darrell Johnson. Good pass that time from Struthers. Was the, I believe the receiver that time was number 84, John Derry. Well short of the 1st down. The crowd here doesn't like the spot, but that is indeed, folks, where it happened. And we'll see what Coach Hollenbach wants to do here.
This is the 2nd or 3rd time it's looked like they haven't quite given Pennridge the forward progress of the ball. He was not across the 1st down marker either way, but it certainly looks like they gave Pennridge the ball where the tackle ended up instead of where Darrell Johnson made first contact.
On 4th and 3, the Rams are going to go for it. The Eagles bring everybody up tight. Struthers with a long count. Oh, boy, I tell you, they try to bring somebody off. The question is, was it encroachment or offsides?
Number 81, Ty Brady, I think, hopped across the line. So at that point, it's offsides. Once that man crosses
illegal procedure against the Rams. And now he's going to punt, I think. Nope. Hollenbach tells his punter to go back onto the bench. Well, you knew the issue there was Struthers trying to draw Norristown off sides, and the tight end, the left tight end for the Rams, got a little overeager. So instead of 4th and 3, it's 4th and 8. The Rams are confused. They probably need to call timeout here. 4th and 8 from the Eagle 36-yard line. Yep, timeout. Chad Struthers does the right thing on that particular situation. His team was in disarray. That 5-yard penalty hurts the Rams. They're still, of course, in Norristown territory. Turning the ball over at the 36-yard line would not be a terrible thing to have happen. Fourth and 8 for Penn Ridge with 5:42 to play here in the first half. The Eagles up on top 6-3.
And we saw the contrast in defensive styles that time, whereas Norristown had a 3rd and 5 earlier in the game, and Damian Solomon runs an 8-yard route and a cut-in to get the first down. couple plays ago, the Pennridge receiver runs 2 yards short of the first down marker, and Darrell Johnson knew exactly where that marker was and was waiting for him. It's a great linebacker play from Johnson to allow the man to catch the ball but deliver the hard hit and not let him get away for that first down, and that has put Pennridge in the predicament they're in right now.
Struthers did a good job on that pass play, Walt, rolling right, had everybody over there, and he picked his man out nicely, delivered the ball crisply, but as you say, Darrell Johnson right there for the quick hit. And now we have a long fourth down attempt by the Pennridge Rams. Once again, everyone in tight. Koshin comes to the near side. There's a sack. No, the handoff was there. Oh, what a play. Flag on the play. Walt, I'll tell you what, I never saw that handoff.
It was a shovel pass. They shoveled it right up inside to Rhodes coming across, and Struthers paid for it, but really held onto the ball and disguised it well.
Well, I tell you, he had me fooled. I thought the ball was going to go to John Koshin, and I never saw the shovel pass, but I'll tell you, it's all negated. A holding call against the Rams, and the Penn Ridge, Walt, just killing themselves with penalties, and now we're going to see the punting unit onto the field.
Big penalties at crucial times, and I just don't think that this first down was meant to be. They probably ran one more play than they should have after taking the last penalty to put them back to a 4th and 8, and then they had to call the timeout, and now with the holding penalty, they're not going to try it anymore.
It looked like that play was slightly short of the first down. I don't believe it was first down anyway, but it was mighty close, and Norristown's going to move them back 10 yards from the point of the infraction, I believe. So it'll be 4th down again. The Eagles accept the penalty. Back deep for Norristown, Edmonds and Stewart. The punting unit on for the Rams. They're punting from the Eagle 39-yard line, so not a lot of field to work with. Low snap, fielded nicely. The kick is to the sideline. Stewart, I don't know why he let that ball bounce. I guess he couldn't get there in time, but it'll be down by the Rams at the 12-yard line. Oddly, Stewart didn't feel he could field that ball cleanly.
And Norristown's done a lot of that this year. Their special teams play, particularly their receiving game, has not been very sharp. They've let a lot of balls bounce that probably should be fielded at least with a fair catch to preserve the yardage that you already have. I think Audley Stewart may have thought he was a little bit closer to his own goal line than he really was that time.
And with the open field running ability of players like Edmonds and Stewart and Wittenberg, you want to give yourself every opportunity to break one open. You saw the benefit of that when Rhodes did it on the other side of the ball. 1st and 10 for Chris Blake's Norristown Eagles. The quick drop, the delay, the handoff to Wittenberg. He bounces outside. Tackled a little late there. I think there's going to be a personal foul on that late hit against Troy Wittenberg. Jeff Hollenbach is irate, but I believe the official is going to call a personal foul at the end of that play. Wittenberg picked up 9 yards on the carry, but I think we're going to tack on 15 to it. No. They must have picked it up, Walt. I did see a yellow flag come out at the sideline, but nothing at all. Perhaps my error there. Hollenbach was irate on the sideline. 2nd and 1 for Norristown. Ball at their own 21-yard line. Wittenberg up the middle, wrapped up nicely, close to a first down. Officials timeout. We're going to bring the chains on to measure for a first down. Walt, I'll tell you, this is an interesting first half of football. 5:07 to play until the half. A packed stadium here in Sellersville for this Pennridge-Norristown clash.
And Jeff, it's two teams who you can tell really still don't know what the other one's going to do. And that's why the ball's been moving up and down the field pretty well. But you see Norristown running a lot of draws. That's because their passing game is so potent. The draw allows them to open up that running game.
Troy Wittenberg got just enough on that play, Walt, by half a football. First down Eagles from their own 23-yard line now.
And you saw Troy Wittenberg's elusiveness on that last draw, and then this play, the other side of Troy Wittenberg, the good, tough running. He can get you those tough yards. Darrell Johnson has done a tremendous job this year as a blocking back, but has not carried the ball a whole lot. The tough yards and the easy yards have all gone to Troy Wittenberg.
This time they go with 3 wide receivers, the Eagles do. Man in motion to the far side. Blake looks that way, has time, steps up, delivers. Oh, Edmonds had it. Had it in his hands, Walt. I tell you, he eluded the linebacker that time, Jim Harris, and Edmonds just had it whipped through his hands there at the last second.
And Harris was actually in better position than Edmonds was for a brief period, but then Edmonds had his head turned to the ball, and Harris was just sort of watching James Edmonds' eyes, and by the time Edmonds took his little burst around Harris for that ball, Harris was beaten, but it was a little bit too far, and Edmonds, all he could do was try and make the one-handed catch.
Good protection that time by the Norristown line. Blake did have the time to deliver the ball, stepped up in the pocket nicely. Incomplete, though, brings up 2nd and 10 for the Eagles. Same offensive set that we just saw. Terrell goes in motion again to the far side. Same look. Time is there again. Same play. Overthrown, intercepted down the far sideline. That's trouble. Inside the 5. Number 21, Todd Tobin, with a huge return on a Chris Blake miscue. The interception takes it down to the Norristown 2-yard line. There's a flag down, Walt, at the end of that play. Probably a personal foul. Todd Tobin read that one beautifully, and I'll tell you, Walt, it was either underthrown or overthrown. I believe it was intended for Edmonds, so it was overthrown.
Yeah, it was definitely too low to hit Terrell streaking down the sideline. I think they were looking for Edmonds again, and Edmonds cut in, and Chris Blake was throwing the out, and Tobin was the only one who was out.
Well, the Eagles got back and reeled him in. There was a penalty at the end of that play, which is half the distance. It's at about the 2-yard line, so it'll make it 1st and goal from the Norristown 1-yard line. But I'll tell you, the big play goes to the Penn Ridge Rams on that one. And Walt, what do you say? What are the key to any game like this? Turnovers.
Absolutely.
You commit the turnovers, you make it much easier for the opponent. Timeout called by Norristown.
Well, to Norristown's credit, I mean, they have lived on the passing game this year. It's a balanced offense, but most of their big plays have come via the air. And right now, it's hurting them a little bit. They turned the ball over in the first quarter through an interception, which didn't hurt them that time. But this time, it looks like it's going to cost them at least 3 points, barring a miracle or at least a huge mistake by the Penn Ridge Rams.
Well, with Penn Ridge and their offensive set and the way they run the ball, the Eagles would be hard-pressed to stop them 4 times from the 1-yard line.
Well, it shows the perils of a sophisticated passing attack, because what happens is a lot of times you rely on timing patterns, and Blake and Edmonds have really been on the same wavelength this year as far as passing and receiving. They know exactly what the other one's going to do, but that time a little bit of a mix-up as Terrell ran down the sideline, Edmonds cut in, and Chris Blake certainly was not expecting either one to do that.
4:36 to play here in the first half. The Eagles still on top, 6-3, but that lead is tenuous right now, folks. 1st and goal from the 1-yard line. Chad Struthers, the quarterback. Quarterback keeper. Touchdown.
Well, it's a power drive led by 200-pound center Mitch Keating. Straight up the gut, and Struthers wasted no time. As soon as he took the snap, he just drove up and easily crossed the goal line, riding Keating's back along with Blackledge and Rogers, his guards.
No reason to do anything else, Walt. The way they move the ball on short yardage, not a problem. In to kick the extra point, number 80, Brett Hetherington. Snap is good, the hold is down, the kick is up. It is good. And I'll tell you, that extra point might loom large in this game. Missed earlier in the game by Matt Spitko. The Eagles now behind by 4, 10-6.
Yeah, right now the extra point looks big, but the interceptions certainly look bigger.
Yeah.
And Chris Blake has not thrown a lot of big interceptions in his career. Not a lot of important ones, and it's going to be interesting to see how he rebounds from this right now.
Well, I'll tell you, the Eagles have not had very good field position in this game, and part of it is what we talked about just a few minutes ago. That's letting those balls drop on the punts. The Eagles have had tough field position. Now, certainly on their touchdown drive, didn't seem to hinder them. They moved the ball 87 yards for the score. If Norristown is to win this ball game, though, they must stop the turnovers.
And I think with 4:34 left here in this first half, You will see the ball go to the air because Roger Grove absolutely has to get some confidence back into Chris Blake. Well, I shouldn't say that. I certainly can't imply that Chris Blake has lost any confidence. By all accounts, he's a very confident young man and a quarterback. But I think Norristown will try and settle things down by going to the ground. They've done it, but not consistently so far this game. I think they're going to try and grind it out until they need to throw the ball.
Brady has got a good foot on him, and he's ready to kick off here again. Last time he kicked it inside the Norristown 5. This time a little bit shorter. Stewart takes it at about the 15-yard line, heads to the sideline, sidesteps one man and another, spin move, takes him to the outside. Audley Stewart up across the 30 to about the Norristown 33-yard line. That time they took it to the short side of the field, Walt, and it worked to some degree.
Most of the kickoff returns have come from Audley Stewart. Teams do not like to kick to Troy Wittenberg.
You don't give up much there, though. There's two fellas who can run the ball.
And you saw right there that Audley Stewart got about 10 more yards than he really should have. A lot of those were all him.
So Norristown with 4:27 to go before the half. As Walt mentioned, we'll try to regain some offensive momentum here. The handoff up the middle to Swittenberg, avoids one tackler, and I tell you what, that's a big stick by Todd Tobin because he was the only guy there to say hello to Troy Swittenberg.
And no wasting time from the Norristown Eagles. Troy Swittenberg hit that hole immediately, and there was a lot of room on that left side.
First down, Norristown, 11-yard carry for Swittenberg. Takes the ball out to the Norristown 44. Same set. This time it goes to Darrell Johnson. Room up the middle. Johnson over the back of Doug White. Picked up about 4 yards on the play.
And if Norristown is going to have to go to the air, Pennridge is going to be ready for it. Take a look on this near side at Jason Rhodes, who's playing Damian Solomon, number 2 for the Eagles. Rhodes is taking away the inside route from Solomon, which is the one he has success with. James Edmonds is more the outside sideline receiver. But Jason Rhodes is going to angle in. He's going to look into the backfield and try and take that inside route away from Damian Solomon.
Exact same set. This time Swittenberg up the middle into the secondary. First down to the Penn Ridge 41-yard line. I'll tell you what, Troy Swittenberg can hit the hole.
Yeah, so far all the receivers are doing are taking a couple tacklers out of the play because Norristown is just handing the ball off to Troy Swittenberg and letting the line do some blocking. But so far, Norristown moving it very, very well on this drive.
The Eagle offense here has Penn Ridge back on its heels a little bit. Norristown moving the ball effectively late here in the first half. They trail 10-6 now in this ball game after the touchdown generated by the interception. Johnson again. This time Swittenberg dropped for a loss on first down. Swittenberg went to the line, but there was nothing there, Walt. He tried to sidestep it, was brought down by the ankles. Loss of 2 on the play, 2nd and 12.
That battle went to the Pennridge defensive line. There was really nowhere to go for Troy Swittenberg. As soon as he took the handoff, he was hit. So now Norristown is possibly becoming too predictable on this drive. They may have to mix it up some since Pennridge certainly looked ready for that running play.
I'll tell you that Norristown offensive line is certainly formidable. They've done a good job all year long. Blake on the option, fumble. Blake picks it up. Going to be dropped for a big loss. I'll tell you, Chris Blake looked away, and when he looked back, Swittenberg was in a different spot.
Yeah, when you run that option, you really have to have good eye contact. You have to know exactly where that back's going to be, and Chris Blake sort of nonchalantly pitched it out there. Troy Swittenberg was already heading upfield. I don't think he was expecting it that deep. That time, Swittenberg had some room out there, so I think he was looking for that lead pitch where he could take off and get some yardage since he saw so much upfield. But Chris Blake tossed that pitch a little bit too deep into the backfield. Now Norristown's pushed way back. 3rd and 20 for the Eagles. They're back on their side of midfield from their own 49. Blake with a straight drop. He's got time. Goes deep to this sideline. Damian Solomon. Oh, I thought he had it. I'll tell you, nicely thrown ball. Give some credit to Jason Rhodes, the cornerback. He was right there with Damian Solomon. Distracted him just enough. And Rhodes has accepted that challenge very, very well tonight. Solomon had him beat downfield, but both players had to wait for that ball a little bit as Blake just lofted it up to let Solomon make the adjustment. And Rhodes waited till Solomon caught that ball and just came over the top and swatted it away. It's a tremendous cornerback play from Jason Rhodes.
Eagles certainly want to have this punt go away from return man Rhodes. Lots of time. They kick it to him. Actually, away it does hit. Takes an Eagle bounce. Now it's rolling back the other way. The Eagles down it at the Pennridge 20-yard line. That time Hadrick did a good job. I thought initially as the ball took flight it was heading to Rhodes, but it was sufficiently away from him that he couldn't field the ball in the air. So 1:19 to play before the half. I think Coach Jeff Hollenbach will be content to do just what he's done all along, run his traditional set, go into the locker room with a 4-point lead. If something nice happens off of the run, so be it. Although they show a wide receiver in the pattern, show 3-man out, and bring it back the other side to Rhodes up the middle. Good defense that time by the Eagles. Picks up several on the play. Looks like Mike Ginyard down low along with Doug White on the tackle. Brings up 2nd and 6 for the Rams. We're under a minute to play here. Norristown with only one timeout remaining really can't stop the clock here for any attempt to get the ball back on offense. Simply want to contain Penn Ridge right now. Handoff up the middle. Goes to Tyler Weidman, number 32. Hasn't carried the ball all that much tonight. He's the power guy. Guy is built like a sawhorse. He is one powerful looking young man. And we do have timeout called by Norristown here on 3rd and 5. Only a yard on that pickup. 32 seconds to play before the half.
What Norristown's starting to pick up is that Pennridge does not like to use that man in motion to carry the ball. They like to use him only as a decoy and hand the ball off to the back, either slashing from left to right or coming straight up the middle. So Norristown is starting to focus a little more on the interior of the line, committing 8 men to the run on the inside of that line. And that's what you saw right there. The result was a very short gain.
While we have a stoppage in the play here, I'll remind you once again, this game is brought to you courtesy of the Norristown Area School District. Our producer tonight, Mr. Tony Koya, Director of Communications for the school district. Our director on site is Cheryl Emerson. Our cameraman, Carl Baker, doing a great job for us. Thank you, Carl. I'm Jeff Brandon along with Walt Fry. And the Eagles trail the Penn Ridge Rams by 4 late here in the first half of this District 1 playoff game. On 3rd down, goes to Tyler Weidman again. He'll be short of the first down by about a yard, out to about the 30-yard line, but the clock is running with 22 seconds to play here before the half. I'm not so sure, Walt, that Pennridge really needs to even snap the ball. I think they can run out the clock here with 10 seconds to play. And they're going to go into the locker room up by 4. The score, Pennridge 10, Norristown 6. That's right, it's halftime, folks. You heard the buzzer. Walt and I will be back in just a moment to talk about this first half of play. Stay tuned. It should be an exciting final half of football. Folks, we're back at halftime here. The Eagles trail the Penn Ridge Rams by a score of 10-6. And Walt, an interesting first half of football. Penn Ridge, you and I were talking about just at halftime a moment ago, Penn Ridge is prepared tonight. They were ready for the Norristown offense, and they have done a good job of reading plays.
And I do think that they see a little more passing in their conference than maybe Norristown does in theirs. So Pennridge has seen some teams that could throw. So they were very well prepared. They're used to playing teams that can put the ball in the air. And that's where the big changes have come in this game, is the 2 turnovers that Norristown has given Pennridge through the air.
Walt, what did you say to your team if you're Roger Grove at halftime?
I tell them that I think, first of all, you tell them that they're better than Pennridge. I think he probably does believe that. That is certainly debatable, but I think you have to tell them that. I think you have to tell them that right off the bat. And you state the obvious. We have to eliminate the mistakes. And you don't go any farther than that. You don't want to put any doubt in their head because they will have to throw the ball to get past Pennridge tonight. There's no doubt about it. So you tell them that briefly offensively. You're better than you showed. You're better than they are. We can score on them, and we do have to eliminate the mistakes. I think where he really had to focus on at halftime was the defense, because the offense is going to do what the offense is going to do coming out. They've done it all year. They've had bad halves and then recovered. But I think defensively, Norristown has shown some signs that they're not quite ready to stop this Pennridge running game. So I think you have to focus and get down and get technical and just say, guys, we have got to plug that line. There's no doubt about it. We've got to focus on their main man coming directly out of the backfield, and we've got to plug up the line of scrimmage.
Let's go to the other locker room. Jeff Hollenbach's team here has a 4-point lead at home. They have possession of the ball first here in the second half. What does he say to his squad?
I think you say, way to go, guys. I think you tell them that the conference they're coming from doesn't matter. It's all 4 playoff teams now, and keep running the ball. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. I think you have to be very proud of them defensively. I think you have to tell them that they're playing a great defensive system. He also has to get into their heads that they have to eliminate the penalties. They have to eliminate the mistakes. That might have been some nerves, and I think that's the angle you're going to take, is to tell them, hey, it's out of your system now, and you're up after this first half. So I certainly don't think Pennridge is afraid of Norristown. They haven't shown any signs of that tonight.
Well, I'll tell you, we have a packed house here up in Sellersville for this ball game. These are the number 2 and 3 seeds in the PIAA District 1 Quad A playoff teams. And you've got CB West and North Penn going at it tonight out in Doylestown. The winner of that game to meet the winner of this game, and it's a rather usual occurrence that the winner of District 1 would, if not win the state championship, be playing for the state championship. We generally send a quality team on into the playoffs.
Well, yeah, District 1 is powerful. I mean, there are a lot of teams who had claims to playoff spots this year and feel that they were snubbed. You could probably count 5 or 6 teams who really felt that they should have been here, really played very tough schedules, but you can't question these 4 teams. I mean, out of the 37 teams in District 1 4A, these are the 4 who got here. And they got here with remarkable schedules, and they got here by winning some very tough games. These 2 teams, for example, I think became playoff teams 2 weeks ago. They each won 1-point games. Pennridge beat William Tennant, and that allowed them to keep their playoff hopes alive. And, of course, Norristown with that dramatic win over Truman that we've already mentioned tonight. So I think these 2 teams became playoff teams there, and I think you have to go through that experience to really be able to make a difference in the playoffs. So these 2 teams have had that. They've had the senior leadership on both sides. They've really had their share of difficult games and trying times this year. So you certainly can't argue, and these 4 teams, any one of the 4 would represent District 1 very, very well.
Well, Walt, the time on the clock isn't much. 24 minutes of football to go. The Norristown Eagles trail by 4 here. Mistakes hurt them in that first half. The big play, of course, the interception and run back by cornerback Todd Tobin. Tobin picking off Chris Blake, returning it to the 2-yard line, and after a half the distance to the goal penalty, quarterback Struthers taking it in on the keeper to put 6 on the board.
Well, it's interesting that Norristown will be on defense first, because that's where they're going to have to not necessarily win this game, but that defense is going to have to play a very, very strong 24 minutes, because Pennridge will control the clock and will run the ball and run that clock down. So it's going to have to be that Norristown defense that steps up more so than they did in that first half.
Doing the kicking chores for Norristown, number 11, Kevin Qualia. Back deep for the Rams, number 40, Jason Rhodes, who has some explosive speed, along with number 84, Josh Derry. The fans here in Sellersville on their feet. Qualia's kick goes to the sideline, taken by Derry at about the 15-yard line, cuts across the field into the defense, and the Eagles drop him at about the 29-yard line. Hard line drive kick by Qualia, and about a 15-yard run back from Derry. So Chad Struthers will start the Ram offense from his own 31-yard line. Pardon me, the Officials respotting the ball where I thought it was originally, just inside the 30-yard line. Struthers sets the count. Rhodes in motion. The quick handoff up the middle goes to Tyler Weidman. Weidman picks up a couple on the play.
But again, a good push from the right side of that Pennridge line. They were led by number 79, Jeff McIntyre. He goes at 250 on the offensive tackle. So he's a big man over there, moving a lot of ground tonight.
This wing T offense certainly has a lot of different variations to it. 3 yards on that carry brings up 2nd and 7. Rhodes again to the far side. This time the handoff goes to number 35, John Koshin, and Koshin somehow battled his way through that initial hit, Walt, and falls just short of a first down.
But if you're a Norristown fan, that defensive line is still just moving the wrong way. By the time Koshin hits that line of scrimmage, his offensive line is 2 yards in front of him already. Well, that's going to be good for positive games every time, and a hard runner like Koshin is going to get the extra.
3rd and short, which is certainly a good situation for the Rams. They're excellent on short yardage. Tremendous running game. Koshin comes to the near side. Keeper, first down. Picks up 3, and I'll tell you what, on a quarterback keeper, you shouldn't get 3 yards.
Well, that play and the other plays to start this second half, Norristown's pretty much going 4 against 7. That defensive line is taking the entire brunt of the Pennridge offense, and the linebackers 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage aren't in the play at all. Norristown's going to have to tighten things up, not worry about that motion so much. They're going to have to stop Pennridge and let the motion do what it will.
Koshin takes the handoff, coming to the near side, hits the hole, wrapped up nicely that time. In on the tackle for Norristown, number 33, Warren Burke.
And that time it was Norristown's speed that won the battle. Jeff Hollenbach admitted as much. He was talking about the Rams on defense, but he said we cannot run with Norristown, and they can't. If they're going to try to get to the outside, Norristown has already set their defense up to contain and pursue, and they're a very fast defense.
No gain on that play, brings up 2nd and 10 from the Pennridge 42. Struthers, the play action, rolls to his right, over the middle, thrown incomplete, intended for Jason Rhodes. Rhodes had it for a second, Walt, and as he came in contact with the ground, the ball jostled free. Third down and 10 for Pennridge. On the few times that we have seen Pennridge go to the air, they've gone to the rollout rather than setting up in the pocket. Certainly a good idea. Norristown can put great pressure on the passer.
And the rollout is also successful off of all that motion that they run in the backfield. Keeps Norristown on their toes.
Defensive play here for Norristown is called for on 3rd and 10. They send Rhodes into the pattern. Pressure into the backfield. Gets the ball away. Underthrown. I'll tell you, uncatchable. Good coverage by Darrell Johnson on the intended receiver, and good pressure that time by the left side of the Norristown line.
And an aggressive defensive call from the Eagles. Mike Wilson on the blitz to bust that play up. He was picked up, but it made Struthers take a little bit of a different route, and then Yaboa Kabold came in to apply the little bit of extra pressure, and Struthers had to get rid of that ball a little bit early, throw it into the ground.
Hetherington in to punt this time on 4th and 10 from his own 42. It's Edmonds and Stewart back again, and I tell you what, Walt, one of these guys has to catch the ball and get a return going. Right at Audley Stewart, takes it his own 22-yard line, slips. Oh, he got stuck. Audley Stewart just took a bone-jarring hit. Good play that time by number 76, Shane Frank.
Well, Norristown's made some progress. They've caught the ball, and they were looking for the return, but you have to come right upfield with it. That dancing is not going to get you anywhere, especially against a good special teams unit like the Pennridge Rams. They really send everybody down the field, and the first couple guys bust up the play, and then they have a lot of guys following up.
Well, the Norristown defense does the job, holds Penn Ridge on that first offensive series. Now it's up to Chris Blake and the offense to see if they can turn the tide on the scoreboard. The pitch goes to Wittenberg, cuts it up inside, into the secondary, first down Norristown. Troy Wittenberg, who had 85 yards in the first half, just tacked on 10 right there.
And it was a play that's so successful for Norristown all year. Darryl Johnson out on the lead block, pushing his man to the outside, and Troy Wittenberg loves to cut up inside of Darryl Johnson.
Nice to see Blake go to that with confidence after the miscue in the first half on the pitch. Chris Blake with a perfect pitch to Wittenberg. They executed it nicely. 1st and 10 from their own 40-yard line. Fake the pitch. Johnson, eluded the first tackle, but the second guy through just killed him. That was middle linebacker Mitch Keating. And I'll tell you what, Penn Ridge read that one tremendously well.
Well, they were anticipating Norristown, after going to Wittenberg, would come back short side to Darryl Johnson. Read it very well, and when that middle linebacker is busting through there and make that play, you haven't blocked very well and you haven't disguised your play very well.
Loss of 2 brings up 2nd and 12 for the Eagles. Blake looks like he's changing the play here at the line of scrimmage. They show blitz and drop back, go on the cut, slant on the inside to Solomon. 1st down.
It was there, Jeff. It's been there ever since I said that Jason Rhodes was taking away the inside on Damian Solomon. Well, as soon as I said that, he started taking away the outside, leaning a little bit outside, and Chris Blake saw that time, changed the play, and Damian Solomon cut right across midfield for the 1st down. Good throw by Chris Blake, again, right where his receiver could get it, and it could not be defended.
Yeah, absolutely right. It was right at waist level, not the easiest ball to catch perhaps, but it was also not one that could be intercepted. 1st and 10 from the Pennridge 49. The pitch to Wittenberg. Johnson on the lead block. Wittenberg cuts it inside. Good job by Troy Wittenberg to get 3 extra yards on that play. Call it 6 on the carry. 2nd and a long 4, maybe 5.
And we're looking at 2nd and short yardage again. This is what Norristown has to do, and they've already gotten across midfield with very good plays that are picking up significant yardage per each one.
The last offensive drive in the first half, though, did this same thing, and this is about the spot where Norristown self-destructed a bit with a bad pitch and poor play selection. This time, Wittenberg off the left side. He's into the secondary again. 1st down, another 10 yards on the play. He's down to the Pennridge 35.
And when Doug White turns to the outside, that's going to open a hole all by itself. And he was one-on-one with his man and just took him to the ground legally. I'm not implying a hold there, but just absolutely turned his man and just sat on him. That opened up a huge hole for Troy Wittenberg. And Wittenberg, as good as he is at picking his way through the line and setting up his blocks, he's best when he can just hit the hole. In fact, any running back is best when you can just hit the hole.
That carry puts Wittenberg over 100 yards on the night. Certainly not a rare occurrence for that fine young running back. 1st and 10 for Norristown. Darryl Johnson takes the handoff, follows the block, picks up several yards. Not much there, though, for Johnson on the carry.
And that's making your own hole. That time, Darryl Johnson hit the hole with tremendous speed and just blew his own blocker, Troy Ellis, number 51, right to the ground. Darryl Johnson was not going to be denied a little bit of yardage on that play. And when there wasn't a hole there, Darryl Johnson was looking to make his own.
And that's what he got, was a little bit of yardage. It's 2nd and 9 from the Pennridge 34. In the 3rd quarter here, folks, 6:18 to play in this 3rd. Eagles down by 4, 10-6. Moving the ball nicely here on their first offensive possession. Solomon across the middle. He's got it. Nice catch. Oh, I'll tell you what, by a shoestring, number 45 stopped the touchdown. That was Aaron Roberts, the safety. Damian Solomon did not give up on that play. Big gain from Blake to Solomon. It's the same play we just saw moments ago, and it's now 1st and 10 Eagles from the Pennridge 19.
Same play, and that time Jason Rhodes was leaning to the inside a little bit, and Damian Solomon still got good position, and Chris Blake, I don't think he's having any confidence problems, because I cringed a little bit when he was about to throw that ball. It certainly looked like Rhodes had the position, but Damian Solomon, a good, aggressive inside slant.
Solomon has 5 inches on Rhodes. He ought to be able to take advantage of that. The handoff, Wittenberg up the middle, inside the 10. Nice carry that time by Wittenberg, and good sell that time by Chris Blake.
Yeah, and the line held their blocks long enough while Blake was selling that to open up a very, very nice hole for Troy Wittenberg. He's getting some pretty easy yardage here because that offensive line has come out very fired up. I think I know where Roger Grove focused his energies during halftime.
They just brought in some bigger guys here for this goal line situation. It's 1st and goal from the 9-yard line. we brought out the corners, Tobin and Rhodes. Eagles spread the offense here. Blake back to pass, the lob into the end zone. Nicely defensed, no interference. Well, Roger Grove going for it right away. That's a play that's worked for this squad all year. It was slightly underthrown, though.
And it was Chris Blake again changing the play at the line as he saw those two starting cornerbacks hadn't left the field. And Pennridge went with their goal line cornerbacks. Josh Derry, only 5'9", and he's over there on 6'2", James Edmonds. So certainly a smart play call, but Blake that time underthrew it a little bit, and it allowed Derry to get up and swat it away. Certainly Josh Derry looks like he does not lack for leaping ability, and defended his play that time with it.
2nd and goal from the 9-yard line. They go to the air again. Wide open. Touchdown! Norristown's tight end, Josh Kinlock, was wide open. Walt, I could have caught that ball. He was so wide open.
Jeff, they simply do not throw to him. They did not throw to him all year. And that time, Kinlock just shot straight off the line. Pennridge was not looking at him at all. Just a brilliant play call by the Norristown Eagles. They've been throwing the ball to the outsides, and Pennridge has been ready for it. But that time, they had nobody at home for Josh Kinlock. And he just looked that ball right in and fell into that middle dirt patch in the end zone. Great play call and very good execution.
Norristown not sure there if Coach Grove would have them go for the 2-point conversion or not, but we're going to bring Spitko on for the point after attempt. He was wide left earlier tonight. Good snap. Blake with the set. Blocked. Wow. Norristown misses both point after attempts. They're ahead 12-10, but that puts them in a tenuous situation. A field goal now puts the Rams back in the lead.
Yeah, and that's not Matt Spitko's fault. He does have a tendency to kick it low, as you will see some soccer players do, because the inclination there is to keep the ball down during a soccer game, but that was not Matt Spitko's fault. He had no time to kick that ball. Keating just shot straight up the middle and was all over Spitko as soon as his foot met the ball.
Yeah, Keating's a good football player. He's the center on the offensive side of the ball and the middle linebacker on the other side, and he's played a nice game tonight.
And he is one of their captains, so certainly you can see that he is a leader.
Well, he's certainly a key on the blocking side of the ball for that wing T offense. He's done a good job up front.
If there's inside penetration, that wing T is completely destroyed because the motion that they have is very close to the line of scrimmage. A lot of the players who run the ball cut right behind the line of scrimmage. So if Keating's getting turned around left and right, there's going to be somebody in the backfield disrupting that play every time. And as you've seen, the wing T takes a little bit of time to develop with all the motion involved in it.
Well, Norristown regains the lead, an important score for the Eagles. 5 minutes to play here in the third quarter. The Eagles go up on top, 12-10. Qualia again with the low kick. Bounces, taken by one of the up men at about the 25-yard line. Cuts to the outside, up close to the 40. So good field position for the Penn Ridge Rams. They start 1st and 10 from their own 38-yard line. Quarterback Chad Strothers takes a look at the defensive set. Sees Koshin, little play action pass. He rolls right. Quarterback keeper on the option, turns the corner, picks up good long yards. Late hit, just uncalled for. Mental mistake by the Norristown defender. Quarterback Strothers out of bounds. He picked up 5 or 6. We're going to tack 15 onto it, and that's not what you need right there.
Yeah, they definitely over-pursued. It was not a malicious hit. It was just over-pursuit, and they followed Strothers way too far over that sideline as he was more than happy to run out of bounds with his 5-yard gain.
Got to be aware of the sideline. That's part of the game. It was a good 6 yards on the carry. We're going to tack 15 onto it. That's going to put the Rams in great field position inside the Norristown 40-yard line, 1st and 10. I'll tell you what, on both sides of the ball, some big mistakes tonight. Turnovers, key penalties. The Rams early in this game had 2 personal fouls called against them.
And a lot of big penalties, a lot of 15-yarders you just can't afford in a playoff game.
Rhodes goes in motion. The handoff goes to Koshin. Off the side, he eludes one tackler down low, picks up about 4 on the play.
And again, the Rams are running away from Darryl Johnson, who's up on the line of scrimmage and out wide for the containment on the wide play. But they're choosing to run to the short side instead, where there's nobody home for Norristown, and just take their chances with one-on-one battles.
Down to 4:22 to play here in this third quarter. The Rams benefiting from that big personal foul call against Norristown, quickly into Norristown territory. Struthers, the quick handoff up the middle. Good hole that time for Tyler Weidman. First down. Weidman, just a bull out there, but he had nobody stop him, Walt, till he was 5 yards into the Norristown defensive end.
And that's because, again, one of Norristown's linebackers, Darryl Johnson, is out wide. And Norristown feels that they have to contain that wing T offense, and Pennridge has adjusted. They have not run wide much at all tonight. They're running just right off tackle, and that time right behind the center, between the center and the guard.
1st and 10 from the Norristown 28. Pennridge on the move. Koshin on the reverse to Rhodes. Cuts it up inside, eludes 2 tacklers. And I'll tell you what, that's a nice run by number 40, Jason Rhodes. The Eagle defender had him right at the line of scrimmage and then lost him just as quickly.
And Pennridge is taking advantage of that Norristown over pursuit. Norristown is always a fast defense, and they love to pursue. Right now, though, they need to keep some people at home and spread out the defense and just make the tackles when the man gets to them. I think they're trying to be aggressive and make big plays, and that's leaving a lot of big holes for the Ram running backs.
2nd and 6 now from the Norristown 24-yard line. Flag on the play. Handoff goes to Tyler Weidman. He's stopped for a gain of about 2 yards. See what the call is. Did I see a flag? Thought I saw yellow out on the field. Maybe it's time to go to that eye appointment, Walt, and get my eyes checked. That's twice I've seen flags that weren't there. No flag on the play. It's 3rd down and 5 for the Rams. Ball at the Norristown 23-yard line. Struthers. Handoff right up the middle to Tyler Weidman. He is stopped short. No first down there. Brings up 4th down, and my guess is Hollenbach goes for it here. Now, what unit's he bringing onto the field here, Walt?
Well, he's taking his quarterback off the field, that's for sure.
Struthers out. He must have one heck of a place kicker. This is going to be a 39-yard field goal attempt. 38 yards at the very least. It's 4th down and a long 2 from the Norristown 21-yard line. Onto the field to attempt the field goal. Well, it's the same gentleman we've seen kicking off tonight. He does have quite a leg. Number 81, Ty Brady. 3 points puts them back in the lead. It's called a 38-yarder. Norristown on the penetration. Plenty of leg. Wow. It's good. I'll tell you what, Walt, that would have been good from 49 yards.
At least. He had at least 10 yards on that. That was amazing. Boy, that's confidence, and I guess when you've seen Ty Brady kick in practice, Hollenbach must have known a 38-yarder is a piece of cake for him.
You don't see many place kickers like that in high school football. That young man has got a leg on him, and now these 2 missed extra points for Norristown are really a factor, and certainly will continue to be a factor when you know you've got a guy out there who can put one through from 40 or 45 yards out. That shortens the field for Penn Ridge.
You get into a lot of high school games, as you mentioned, they don't have kickers like that. And so that field goal is not really that big of a weapon unless that team maybe gets inside the 10. Only inside the 10 it might be a guarantee. You have to consider that as a weapon now. You know 40 and in, Ty Brady is pretty much money. And that has to be on the minds of Norristown. But right now, at 13-12, they can't think about that too much. They just know that they're down and they have to put together another drive like they just put together to get their last touchdown.
1:49 to play here in the third quarter. The Eagles now trail again by 1, 13-12. Brady again now prepares to kick off. The kick is short this time. It's going to be taken by number 2, Solomon, at about the 25-yard line. Solomon is wrapped up quickly, tries to bring it to the middle of the field, only gets about 7 yards on the return. It's going to be 1st and 10 Eagles. Damian Solomon slow to get up. It looks like he's okay out there. We'll see where they spot the ball. Looks like about the Eagle 28-yard line, Walt. And I'll tell you what, time ticking away quickly here. A lot of ground game for both teams in this third quarter. Time slipping away here. Solomon and Edmonds are the wideouts. Wittenberg and Johnson in the backfield. Chris Blake, the quarterback, on the draw. Flag on the play. Looks like no play at all here. Wittenberg a little upset that he got hit on the dead ball. It's probably going to be a procedure call against Norristown. Looked like they waved that off. Yeah, illegal procedure against the Eagles. And if you're Roger Grove, got to make sure your guys know, look, relax. Plenty of time to go. We're a good football team. We're down by a point.
Yeah, and that's what the legal procedure call right there is. Guys getting a false start. He's just trying to jump early and gives Wittenberg that extra edge. So that is nerves. We haven't seen much of that from Norristown tonight and haven't seen much all year. They've been very disciplined in starting their offensive plays. And in this case, it was just trying to get that little bit of extra for Troy Wittenberg.
Blake sets the offense again. This time, the straight drop. Looks up, Damian Solomon. He's got him open. Oh, Damian Solomon drops the ball. Boy, I'll tell you, what a great pass by Chris Blake. Solomon was wide open. He's slow to get up here. Officials asking him if he's okay, and he says yes. He's going to have to either get across the field or get off the field pretty quickly. I don't know what Solomon's asking, but he needs to get back to the huddle here. I'll tell you, that was an out-and-up route by Solomon. He was there, had the coverage beaten, simply dropped the ball.
Yeah, I think he was looking down at that sideline to make sure he was in bounds. And as he looked down and then looked back up, ball fell right into his hands, but he just wasn't ready to squeeze it.
2nd and 15 now for the Eagles. Ball at their own 23-yard line. Up the middle for nothing there. And I'll tell you, now it's 3rd and long for the Eagles. 1:27 to play here in the quarter. Certainly 3rd and 13. Not unrealistic for this Norristown squad. They can strike quickly. And actually, they can do it two ways. They can do it on the ground or through the air. They're capable of this yardage either way. But they don't want to be in this situation too often here tonight, especially down by a point late in the game. They double up the coverage on the wide receivers. Norristown line gives plenty of time. Edmonds, the wide out. Oh, nice play that time. James Edmonds just ran a pretty route. Nice little hook to the sideline. Blake had it there when he turned around.
And they've done that all year by running those routes past the first down marker. They run a good 3 yards past and then come back to the ball if they have to. Another reason that Chris Blake loves to throw to these receivers, they come back to the ball. They make sure that nobody's going to catch that ball but them. But Jeff, to tell you the truth, I'm not sure why James Edmonds was allowed to run that route. The cornerback over there had deep help. They were too deep, easily too deep. They were waiting for James Edmonds to run past, and they wanted the cornerback to cut underneath him, and he didn't. There were two guys behind James Edmonds, but a good route.
Now you've got isolated coverage here. They go with the handoff to Wittenberg, and he's dropped after about a two-yard gain.
Well, that's a huge conversion for Norristown. I'll tell you what, if they have to punt right there, they are looking at a big swing in field position, and they're working on a short field again and having to stop the Rams. But right now, Norristown nearing midfield has to have gained some confidence from that 3rd down conversion.
I agree. It was a very, very big play. Chris Blake showing his poise, delivering an excellent pass. And that's the end of the 3rd quarter, folks. We've got 12 minutes to go in this playoff game. The Norristown Eagles down by a point, 13-12. When we resume play, they'll have the ball 2nd and 8 from their own 44-yard line.
And it's not that Pennridge can't put points on the board. They've certainly put up a lot of points this year. In their last 8 games, they've outscored their opponents by 190 points.
Wow.
Total. So this is a team that can put some points on the board, but you look at what was probably their toughest game. If you just know a little bit about the opponent they were playing, that would have been the Plymouth Whitemarsh game, October 2nd. Beat PW 10-3. So Pennridge is certainly not a team that has to put points on the board to win. They can stop an offense, and course, they stopped an offense that's similar to theirs in the Plymouth White Marsh wing T, but right now, they've got another very good offensive team in the Norristown Eagles, down to only 2 touchdowns and 12 points. And of course, we mentioned that they won 9 straight after their opening season loss, and their opening season loss was against someone that Norristown played as well, the North Penn Knights. So certainly you can't put much stock in common opponents, especially that early in the season, but it does give you an indication that Pennridge is trying to play outside their conference, trying to look for some competition, and who knows, they may see the Knights down the road.
I'll tell you, Coach Jeff Hollenbach has put together a good squad here. And so is Roger Grove. This is the best Norristown team in many, many years. A team that apparently is as close off the field as they are on, and that certainly shows. 2 wideouts to the right, the back's in the eye. The play action, Blake steps up, out to the sidelines. He's got Solomon wide open. Solomon avoids the first tackle, takes it up down inside the 30-yard line. Damian Solomon redeems himself after dropping a big gainer earlier. He was wide open on that play, and I don't know how you get that open.
Well, it's a new formation for Norristown to start the fourth quarter. They put Solomon in the slot and James Edmonds out wide. All game long, they've had Edmonds on one side and Solomon on the other, occasionally with Trey Hadrick in the slot, but this time they put Edmonds and Solomon on the same side, and the Rams just were not ready to defend it.
And we see it again on the near side now. Edmonds and Solomon wide to the left. Swittenberg and Johnson in the eye. Eagles 1st and 10. Swittenberg up the middle, cuts right into the secondary, brought down at the 15-yard line. Nice gain by Troy Swittenberg. 15 yards on the carry, Walt, darn near. 1st down, Eagles. I like that play selection. After the big pass gain, go back to Swittenberg, cuts it off the right side. Big hole out there, and Swittenberg accelerates for the nice gain.
And you let Swittenberg run away from that wide receiver side so you know that you don't have those defensive backs back there. That allowed Swittenberg, once he got into the secondary, to pick up that extra yardage because Pennridge has to commit at least 2 and usually 3 men to cover Damian Solomon and James Edmonds.
Norristown now down in the red zone. 1st and 10 from the 15-yard line of the Rams. The handoff to Swittenberg up the middle. Touchdown! Troy Swittenberg untouched into the end zone. 6 points, Norristown back on top. And Walt, I tell you what, we got ourselves a football game. This is exciting.
And Jeff, we were asked at halftime up here in the press box, does that Norristown offensive line wear people down in the fourth quarter? Well, I wouldn't say it's to the point where they're wearing people down, but they are certainly blowing people off the line right now. This is an offensive line that does not get dejected. They know that they can carry this team. They know that they have to block for Chris Blake. They love what he does behind them, and they love what Troy Swittenberg can do when they open him just a little hole.
Eagles this time set up for the 2-point conversion. Standard set with the wideout split. Backs in the eye. Blake takes a look around. On the option, the pitch to Swittenberg. 2 points. Norristown picks up 2 quick ones. It's going to be now 20-13, and the Eagles back with that 7-point lead. That's a big 2 points.
Yeah, it was certainly the right call. I mean, an obvious situation where you get it, but a gutsy call to run the ball right there. And Troy Swittenberg looks like he has a little more jump. He got 85 yards in that first half, but it looks like he has a little more jump here in the second half. His cuts are quicker, his decisions are a little faster, and certainly his blocking is better. They are holding their blocks extremely well. But when he sees that hole, he is really hitting it aggressively here in the second half.
I absolutely agree. You can see the spark is there. And I tell you what, could be the last team with the ball wins this game. This is an exciting high school football game.
And it certainly did not look that way in the first half, but right now, both teams putting together just tremendous drives and nothing real fancy. Norristown's throwing the ball but running some pretty basic pass plays. And right now, Pennridge probably will have to go back to their basic offense as well.
10:58 here to go in this game. The Norristown Eagles now up on top, 20-13, as they throw another impressive drive together, capped off by a Troy Swittenberg 15-yard touchdown trot. In to kick now is number 90, Matt Spitko, instead of the normal kicker, Kevin Qualia. Spitko normally handles the field goal attempts and the point after. His kick is taken by Derry at about the 17-yard line. Derry hits the hole fast. He's got some running room, wrapped up at about the 33-yard line. I'll tell you what, Penn Ridge has done a good job of establishing field position tonight. They have generally taken the ball outside their own 30-yard line.
And Norristown has definitely been on the losing end of the field position battle, even more to their credit that they're winning the game.
Pennridge with the offense. Chad Struthers, the quarterback. The handoff goes up the left side, up the right side to Tyler Weidman. Picks up a nice gain on the play. Good block that time out front for Weidman. 6 yards brings up 2nd and 4. Rams right back at it. Man in motion, gets the ball. Nice defensive play by Darrell Johnson. That time he drops John Koshin behind the line of scrimmage.
And that's why he's out there. That's why Norristown is playing him where they are tonight. If Pennridge decides to run some misdirection or a reverse, Darrell Johnson's out there for the containment. But if they come right at him, he's allowed to shoot into that backfield and penetrate. Darrell Johnson's so quick off the line, he usually beats his blocker into the backfield.
3rd and a long 4 from their own 41-yard line. The Rams to the last back through. Short. The ball carrier that time, number 45, Aaron Roberts. I tell you, though, I say short, he's very close. Officials' time, we're going to bring the chains onto the field to measure. Looked to me like they had him wrapped up early, Walt, but good forward momentum that time by Roberts has put him very close to the first down marker. My feeble eyesight's usually wrong, so chances are he's made it. Yep, first down. Good job that time by Aaron Roberts. First down, Rams. So the Rams get a new set of downs, this time beginning from their own 44-yard line. Struthers has a chat with his players, now ready to set the offense in motion. The play action, rolls to his right, steps up, sack, fumble, ball loose. Looks to me like Norristown football. It is. Mike Ginyard recovers the fumble. Was it Ginyard or was it White, Walt? I know I saw Ginyard down there, but White came up with it.
I think White ripped it away from Ginyard, but it was Yeboah Kabold who caused that fumble. Coming from the backside of Chad Struthers, he is just not comfortable on the rollout. He doesn't want to do it, and that time, if he can't roll out and just throw the ball, when he has to step up, look out. And Norristown was all over that side. They swarmed to that side on the fake handoff, and then when Struthers rolled that way as well, Norristown was ready for him. Yeboah Kabold delivered one heck of a hit on the backside of Chad Struthers. Ginyard and White both down there doing the right thing, getting on top of the ball.
Norristown, great field position. The Penn Ridge 42. The pitch goes to Wittenberg. He sees the outside, turns it upfield, past the first down marker. Big gain for Troy Wittenberg. And let me tell you, this kid's not getting less than 10 every time he touches the ball.
Absolutely not. He's really putting together some big runs right now, and Norristown has decided to spring him a little bit by running him more to the outside. He is certainly not averse to running up the middle. He knows how to do it, and he does it well. But when Troy Wittenberg can get to that outside, he is not necessarily the complete breakaway blazing speed back, but he has the speed to turn the corner, and that's the important thing. That's what gets you those 10 yards every carry.
Huge series right here. Pennridge must stop Norristown here as we approach late in the game with 9 minutes to play. The Eagles already up by 7. 1st and 10 from the 28-yard line. Wittenberg up the middle, picks up several on the play, gets hit hard at about the 25-yard line. Call it 3 yards on the carry. 2nd and 7 for the Eagles. They spot the ball at the 26. Norristown fans inciting their team on the far sideline. Blake takes a look. They come with the blitz. Wittenberg right into the blitz. Really nothing on that play, and I'll tell you what, that time they had the man coming up in number 20, Brian Benfield, the left outside linebacker, and Wittenberg ran right into him.
And it's dangerous for Pennridge on that blitz when Norristown decides to run right up the middle. If Wittenberg can get past those blitzing men, the linebackers and the safety, he's going to have a lot of room to run. So credit Pennridge for an aggressive defensive call on the blitz, but also keeping enough guys at home to make the tackle.
Huge defensive play here for the Rams. 3rd and 7 for Norristown. The Rams need a stop. They trail by 7. Blake, the quick drop. He's got time. Oh, what's he doing? Interception. Norristown's got to stop that play. He's still going. Number 31, Jim Harris, just had the ball thrown right to him. There's a flag on the play. What a huge interception for the Penn Ridge Rams. See what the call is. I think it's going to be an illegal block in the back against Chris Blake. It is. Personal foul against Penn Ridge. After the change in possession, though, was a hold. After the change in possession, so the Rams will have possession of the football, but they'll be moved back 10 yards. And it'll be from the point of the foul, so it costs them about 25 yards in field position, but the real key is Norristown unable to convert that big fumble recovery into points. And that's what Pennridge needed to do, was stop the play, and they got a bonus in that they got the turnover as well.
And Chris Blake threw it right to Harris. Looked like he never saw him, and Chris Blake has to look that man off and make a smarter decision than that.
Walt, he had no pressure. He had plenty of time. He just threw it right to him, an errant pass, the 3rd interception of the night. Koshin around the side. Good coverage by Norristown. Down low, the Eagle tackler, looks like it was number 30, Jameel Butler, and I couldn't see who got up high to finish it off. Could have been Troy Ellis.
Yeah, when in doubt, Troy Ellis is a pretty good guess because he's always around the ball. That's the way to stop the wing T. The motion comes laterally across the line of scrimmage with a little slant forward, and if you can keep them going laterally, then you're going to keep them the short yardage.
2nd and 9 now. Struthers. Hands off to Rhodes. Johnson had him cut inside, though. Rhodes eludes the tackler, and they have to bring him down, but it's a 1st down. I'll tell you what, Darrell Johnson had him. He just overran the play. Jason Rhodes ran right around him, and it was up to Ginyard to bring him down. Yeah. Big play. 11 yards on the carry. 1st down at their own 35-yard line.
And Darrell Johnson's going to come off the field right now. That's a Cardinal sin, Jeff. He's out there wide to keep that man from going out wide. His job is containment when they come to that side, and he took the fake inside and got beat.
Handoff up the middle. Tackled by the corner, Audley Stewart, but a 5-yard gain. I'll tell you what, Penn Ridge in this ball game, folks, they are moving the ball.
And Norristown's got a player hurt right now. In fact, it's number 71, Mike Ginyard, and that'll be a huge loss on both sides of the line.
Absolutely.
Norristown has to step up and start filling some gaps. They have got to square up on somebody. They're not getting any clean hits on the Pennridge running backs, and somebody has got to step up and fill one of those gaps as the Rams burst through it.
Number 72, Pete Toto into the game. Looks like a cramp or maybe a twisted ankle. Trainer Dennis Flynn out there tending to Ginyard. Nice 5-yard carry on that play. Brings up 2nd and 5. And as you say, Ginyard is critical to this team, especially on the offensive side of the ball where he's a fine center.
And 2 weeks ago against Truman, we saw Mike Ginyard go out of the game for a few plays, also with a temporary injury. Norristown fumbled a snap from center 3 times in a row. So they are not very comfortable with anyone but Mike Ginyard in there. He's also a tremendous blocker once the ball is snapped.
6:28 to go in this ball game. Norristown leads 20-13, but the Rams have the ball and they're marching. Struthers, hands off to Rhodes. He's got blockers out front. Doesn't matter. Oh, I'll tell you what. Wilson that time making a valiant effort to strip the ball away. Down low there was Yeboah Kabold on the tackle. Rhodes did a great job just hold on to that ball.
Yeah, and Wilson was allowed to go for the strip because he got a lot of help that time. Troy Ellis got over and Yeboah Kabold got over. They were not going to let the back turn up and get through that gap that time.
3rd and 4 now from the Pennridge 41-yard line. The Rams converted this just a few moments ago. Oh, the quick drop. Look inside. Had a man open. I tell you what, that's not their game.
No, and you saw it right there. The man, Josh Derry, was actually open for a brief second. The slant, and you do not expect to have a lot of room. So on a slant, that is open. And he cut right in front of the Norristown defenders. 2 of them standing there. It was James Edmonds and I think Audley Stewart. But Struthers threw it too far, and Derry had to stretch out, only 5'9". Just went off his fingertips.
Tell you what, I'm no football coach. I'm a banker, but I don't like that call. It just doesn't play to their strength. They're certainly capable of 4 yards on the ground. They're forced to punt now on 4th and long. They go for the sidelines, and it's going to be a very short punt. Norristown just needs to get out of the way, and it rolls out of bounds. This might be their best field position of the day at the 33-yard line. Very short punt, net gain of about 25 yards.
Well, Jeff, Norristown did not make Pennridge pay for going away from their strengths when they tried their roll out and wound up with a Struthers fumble. And now, this time, they have to make them pay. If they make them pay this time, the game is over. And now twice, Pennridge has had to go to the air, and once a quick hitter, once on a rollout. Both times, it's cost them the ball.
Norristown turnovers have been costly today. They must protect the ball on this series. 5 minutes and 31 seconds to play. They lead by 7. Ginyard is in, Walt, but he's hurt. Young man looks like he's in some pain. Blake takes the snap. Wittenberg up the middle. Good for a yard.
Yeah, Ginyard's got no push, and that's why Wittenberg's not going to be able to get any yardage up the middle. If you're going to have Mike Ginyard in there to make sure that you can snap the ball cleanly, you're not going to get a lot of pressure.
From him. Yep, got to go away from him.
They've been successful running up the middle, but I think that they can also run outside. One thing we haven't mentioned about Solomon and Edmonds, they are also very good blockers because of their size, and they use it well. But with Mitch Keating filling that middle, and the 2 big tackles that Pennridge has up inside, with Mike Ginyard hurting, Norristown's going to have to go some other way.
Norristown needs to chew up some time here to put this game away. Blake on the pitch this time. Good block by Johnson. Wittenberg cuts it up inside, eludes a tackler, now turns north-south. Look at that run. I'm telling you, that's a kid who can play football. Folks, he's a junior. Wait till next year.
He just knows how to run. Feet are always moving. He's always trying to go forward. Even when it looks like he's going sideways, he's going forward. And that run even more amazing because I certainly don't know the Norristown playbook inside and out, but it looked like that was designed to go outside. I think Darrell Johnson went to the outside, and his man just beat him to the spot. And all Johnson could do was just sort of get pushed upfield. Wittenberg cut right inside him. I'm sure that Pennridge defender thought he had that play busted up, and Troy Wittenberg said, "Oh, no, sir."
12 yards on the play, 1st and 10 for the Eagles from their own 49-yard line. The Eagles keep it on the ground, eat up the clock. There's Wittenberg again into a pack of green jerseys, though. He's pushed back by Derry. We've got 4:07 to play, gain of about a yard. Forward momentum picked up that yard, and then he got tossed backwards.
And if Norristown can keep the ball moving, keep the clock running with a couple more first downs, Pennridge will have to start thinking about using their timeouts. And that would be crucial because they gain their yardage on the ground. And obviously on the ground, you have less of a chance to stop the clock than you do through the air.
Norristown knows with this 7-point lead, they don't have to be concerned about the field goal to beat them. But certainly Pennridge has shown their ability to move the ball tonight. Wittenberg this time off the left side, pulls his way forward. Good forward progress. It's going to bring up about a 3rd and 4 for the Eagles. Clock continues to run. The Eagles using it effectively, down to about 3:20 to play in this game. Norristown up on top by 7. Shall we call it the biggest play of the game so far? Big stop here necessary by the Pennridge Rams.
I think it's big because it could really just swing it the other way. If Pennridge gets a stop here, they have their timeouts and they can move the ball. They will have fairly decent field position. If Norristown can get this first down, then Pennridge is really up against the wall.
Chris Blake takes a look. The pitch, almost fumbled. Wittenberg takes it to the outside, close to the first down marker. Walt, the way we see it, first down. Let's see where the spot is. We'll wait for all these guys to clear out. First down, huge play. It sure is a huge play, holding against the Eagles. Wittenberg had the yards. It's now going to be 10 yards the other way. Brings up 3rd and 14 for Norristown instead of a first down with 2:45 to play. Wow.
And that's the risk of running to that short side. Some players may feel they're going to have to hold if they get beat because there's not much room for the back to run. Wittenberg had to catch a tough pitch from Chris Blake that time. All he could do just to catch it, and then pushed his way forward for the first down, but Norristown caught for the holding.
Wow, huge play there, huge play. Officials' time, got a man with equipment problems. And huge play.
It stops the clock, but it does allow Norristown to run another play. And once this equipment problem is resolved, the clock will restart, and Norristown can run their play. So Norristown has to not be too wild right here. They have to trust Chris Blake to make the right decision. But I would expect them just to keep it on the ground, punt the ball away if they have to, and then let the defense do the job.
Not the way you want it to end, though. You'd rather end the game with the ball in your possession. 3rd and long, 3rd and 14 from the Eagle 44, 2:45 to play. Blake with a quick drop. The pressure's there. They set up the screen. Darryl Johnson drops the ball. Incomplete, brings up 4th and long. The Eagles will have to punt it away.
You want to talk about going away from your strengths? Norristown tried to go through the air but be conservative. They don't run the screen well. They just don't do it. They're straight ahead blockers. They're straight ahead runners. That time they try to hit Darryl Johnson. If he catches that ball, he's going nowhere. So Norristown trying to do something that would surprise the Rams. And just like we saw Pennridge do, Norristown, even though it was the passing game, did something that they are not very good at.
I'll tell you what, we've seen some excellent special teams play by Penn Ridge. Norristown needs a clean snap and a good kick from Trey Hadrick. They've got one man back deep Rhodes. There's the pressure. Hadrick's kick is low to the sideline. Takes a good bounce. He elects not to pick it up, and that's a break for the Eagles. Good kick by Hadrick. Pennridge takes over from their own 21-yard line. Well, folks, it's down to this. 2:18 to play. The Norristown Eagles up on top over the Pennridge Rams by 7 points, 20-13. Pennridge needs to march at 79 yards to tie this game or take the lead.
And Norristown can play Pennridge into their weaknesses. Pennridge does not have the offense necessarily to gain big yardage in a short amount of time. Right now, if Norristown can plug up that line of scrimmage and win the battle right there, Pennridge will be weakened severely.
Chad Struthers, the quarterback. The lone setback is Weidman. The play action. Pressure. Struthers gets it off, goes deep. That's a Hail Mary. Somebody's got to catch that ball. Oh, boy, I'll tell you. That was a dangerous pass, and I tell you, I'm surprised by that play selection. Coach Hollenbach's got a team that runs the ball well. They don't pass well. Struthers has proven that tonight, I'm afraid. No disrespect intended to the young man. It's just not what he does well.
Yeah, and it's a little early for a Hail Mary, and that's pretty much what that looked like. They just threw it as far downfield as they could. I think trying to surprise Norristown, trying to hope that Norristown was committing everyone to the running game, pick up some good yardage, and then they could work the short field with their running game. Now, though, 2nd and long, not where they want to be.
2nd and 10, Rhodes in motion to the near side. This time they fake the handoff again. The quarterback option, he turns to the outside, he's got room. Darryl Johnson needs to keep him in bounds. He does not. Big gain that time by quarterback Chad Struthers. The quarterback option that time. Nice gain, brings up 3rd and 2 from about the 29-yard line. Well, that was a big boy in pursuit out there. I didn't catch the number. Did you see who that was that forced that play to the outside? Was that Cabole?
I didn't see it, but Cabole's usually their penetrating lineman. He likes to flush the quarterback out of the pocket and let the linebackers finish.
3rd and short for Struthers. 2:03 to play in the ball game. Long count. No movement. Handoff stopped. Doug White. Boy, did they go to the wrong guy. Penn Ridge indicating first down, but there's no way. That's short by a good yard and a half. Now we see timeout called by Captain Mitch Keating. Jeff Hollenbach's going to have to talk this one over. Well, here's your whole season. 4th and 1. You trail by 7. Obviously, they have to go for it. There's only 2 minutes to go in